Welcome to our program today. We have some really exciting guests, and you guys are going to get to meet those pretty soon. But first, I wanted to say happy birthday to the following people. Annie Valadez, Bob Werschke, and Karen Cantor both have had birthdays in the last week. So, yeah, so happy birthday to them. We have some really stunning anniversaries, Rotary anniversaries. Holly Flores has been in the club now for 4 years. Yeah. Brad Butler for 13 years. Ian Glassford has been in the club now for 7 years. Joe Regan has been in the club for 1 year, and Bill Nelson for 1 year, and he's here today, so yeah. And then the one that I want to point out, he's been around for a little while in our club, and that would be my friend John Yates at 46 years in the club. So John, why don't you stand up? All right, so thank you guys so much for helping me celebrate with them. Jane Hamoud is now going to introduce our visitors. Yeah.
That's a 20-year improvement.
Right. You're going to have to hold this the whole time.
I have to hold it the whole time? Okie dokie. So we have some visiting Rotarians today from the East Club. Yay! Why don't you introduce yourself, Penny? Good. And Becky Kaiser. Hey. And Dan May. Yeah. We even get the president of the East Club. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, absolutely. And we have a guest. George Reed has a guest. George?
Yes, I'd like to introduce my good friend Steve Schaumbach, Colonel retired. Steve and I were on the faculty at U.S. Army War College together back in the day.
Good. Welcome. Welcome. And then we do have some guests on Zoom. So I'm going to have Rodney introduce the Zoom guests. And I'm going to leave our speaker. Our speaker will be introduced a little later. Can the Zoom guests hear us? Oh, yes. Yeah, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, but you can hear us? They can hear us, Rodney. There's given.
We're with you.
Tuck is not a guest.
Yeah. I think you need a new IT manager.
Can we push that button so we can see the whole group?
So one very important guest we have on here is Kwame. He is the president of the Rotary Club in East Accra, Ghana. And one of the reasons he's important to us is we're considering trying to get a global grant to support the work of our speaker, which she'll explain a little later. But one of the requirements of that is that we have a local partner club. And Kwame has agreed to be that local partner. He's a perfect choice. He's himself an engineer. And he's in the capital city of Ghana. So, Kwame, if you can, please say hello.
It's not there.
Hello. Fantastic. My pleasure to meet you all today by virtual means. Greetings from Rotary Club of Accra West in Ghana. It's my pleasure to associate with you through Mike, through our correspondences. We look forward to further collaboration to impact many more children and their teachers in the path that we want to pursue. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I wait to greater fellowship ongoing. Thank you.
Welcome. Are there any other guests on Zoom? If there are, raise your hand. Is Peter Jofsnick on there? I don't think Peter's there. Nope. Peter, are you there?
I'm here, but the sound quality is very poor, and I cannot hear or understand everything that's being said.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and thank you so much for being here today, Peter. We had a place saved for you, but that's okay. Peter Jahasipnig is our international person for the district, and so it's kind of cool that he's on the call today. Let's see. I wanted to thank Dennis Shoemaker for this past week. The Gazette reached out and wanted some information and history about our club, and Dennis provided that. He was interviewed, and then I think a lot of us got together pictures for them to use as well. And that should be in the paper this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. So please make sure to read that. I think, we know our club has a really interesting history and of course, a very long history, so that'll be a really good article. I want to thank our volunteers today, Tina Dewey, Donna Nelson, Ellen Roth, Jody Ritchie, Jane Hamoud, Valerie Martin Conley, Wayne Bland, and I also want to thank Karen Moody, our admin, for arranging to get our new steps today. So I think I'm most grateful for them than anyone. So anyway, thank you. And those blue ones that we were using, those were Karen's. She was just letting us use them so that I didn't have to jump on the stage. So, as awkward as they were, I'm glad we had something. Thank you, Karen. All right, and let's see, for some announcements, can someone pass the mic over to this table? And Becky Kaiser and Penny are gonna make an announcement for us.
Hey, everybody. Not on? Okay. Are we good? Okay. Well, we are here today because we're guessing some of you might be like us and you are ready to get out and have some fun. Yeah. All right, I heard a yeah. I heard a yeah from one of my favorites. So we're here to do is back in the day when my father was a Rotarian with Dennis's father, Rotarians had to do makeup meetings. So the synergy in the city of Rotarians getting together was really strong. As we now can miss a whole lot more than 3 meetings a year, thankfully for me, since I'm not here that much, we can still continue, but we've lost a little bit of the synergy. So on July 29th at Patty Jewett, we will have dancing, drinking. Peter will be there sharing with us. Dan's going to be sharing with us. And we'd really like you to come out. Plus, you will notice part of what we're doing is we're celebrating the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs because you all helped us with a computer project where we delivered computers, 27 computers to rural students in Ethiopia. So thank you for that. So we're celebrating our successes together. We'd like you to be there. And anything else we'd like to share? Any questions? Or who's going to be there ready to party? Woo! And also, let me too mention, the other thing about this is a great layering way to invite people that may be interested in Rotary. And just as a fun way to say, hey, come out, we're having a big citywide celebration. Not necessarily to invite them to join your club, but then the next few meetings as they come and see how Rotary really is the way. Wouldn't y'all agree? So.
Thank you, Becky. Can you pass the mic right behind you to Samantha, please? As
Thank
thank you. That's great. I'll be in California, or otherwise I would totally be there. But you all should go, so have a good time. So I just have quick announcements. Most of the events and stuff that we're doing are on the handout in the center of the table. So if you want to read about those, do that there. I'm passing around another clipboard along with your weekly volunteer duties for flight volunteers. So we do need people still for one person for the 30th, and then there are 2 other pages, one for the install and one for the actual reveal itself. So if you're interested in volunteering, please sign up so we can make sure it's a wonderful event. But that's really all I've got. So quick and simple, and we'll get on with it. So who's next?
Thank you so much. Donna DeLolio.
I just want to say that the preparations for the golf tournament are going great. Sam has got things so organized. Jody, Tom Nelson, Randy Stiles, and Kathleen. It's so easy and fun this year. And we're pretty sure we have 80 golfers, but we want to get more. It's more fun. And I want to tell you, Turner's coming to our meetings, Craig's grandson. So that is really cool. And he, last year it was kind of hard, and this year he wants to come to our meetings because it's so much fun. Golf tournaments are so much fun. I said, what do you like about them? Turner, he goes, everything. So it really is fun. And we're looking for some Army guys to put together a foursome. They were challenged by Air Force last week, but you guys weren't necessarily here, so we'll be talking to you. So we'll be talking to you about that.
Thank you so much, Donna. And then I just want to remind you, it's on the flyer in front. In fact, it's sticking off to the side to give it a little more attention, that on September 9 from 5 to 7 p.m., we Rotarians are invited to Wayne Smizek's gallery, Lawrence Dryhurst Gallery on Kiowa, for a wine and appetizer reception and to see all of the petite butterflies. They'll be on display there for, well, until the event is over, and then they'll go to their owners. So we're really grateful to him, providing that. Holly Flores, we have a white badge to give out.
All right, I'm going to do my part quickly, just for the sake of time and to give our new white badge member more time on the microphone than me. So we have, I'm trying to think what you joined. No, it's not under Kathleen. So this new member, Tim Collings, it's kind of a perfect week to have you because while our guest speaker is coming to us from a faraway frontier, Tim is also coming to us from another faraway frontier in Alaska, and he joined our club a few months ago and finally getting his white badge. He was a Rotarian up in Kodiak, Alaska. And Tim, I'm going to let you do all the other formalities on you, but we're looking forward to hearing more about you while you get your white badge today. I don't know. That's like a Boy Scout jacket. Okay. So first, we'll give you the white badge, which is we'll do that first. Stand.
Thank you. Thank you. Do I bring it up here? Okay. All right. So first off, I apologize that my sponsor did not introduce me. She's commercial fishing in Kodiak, Alaska, and it's very difficult to get in touch with her at the moment. This jacket, I was a Rotary exchange student 25 years ago, and this is the jacket that I had, and I was talking to Sam and Karen, was that Wednesday night? And I was curious if this is something that they still have, if this is something that people recognize. And as I pulled it out last night for the first time in 25 years, my kids took all of the pins off of this side to put on their backpacks. So I got some here, just not the rest. They also helped me with this slideshow. So the slideshow has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about. It's just a bunch of random pictures of my life. So I was born and raised in Fairbanks, Alaska. Grew up hunting, fishing. I went to a Catholic school. from kindergarten through 12th grade. Graduated and went to New Zealand as a Rotary exchange student. For me, from a maturity standpoint, I was a fifth-year senior, so I'd already graduated high school. This was an opportunity for me to kind of learn and grow instead of spending money on college, not knowing what I wanted to do. So I had the opportunity. I lived with one non-Rotarian family and 3 Rotarians. It was a nice learning opportunity. It was the first time that I ever had to speak in front of people. It was the first time that working with Rotary that I was asked to volunteer, that I was asked to be a part of something kind of bigger than myself. Now, granted, I had a lot of fun while I was in New Zealand as well. Learned a little bit more about education and the focus. Went to school, wore a uniform in New Zealand. Was there for a year, came back, and still didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do with my life. So I joined the Navy. Go Navy, beat Army. Who's that directed to over there? You want the golf tournament? We can do that. So they added that in there. That's a macaron that I made. So once I moved to Colorado and got this new job, I started baking just to take a little stress off, along with the fishing and the hunting. But while I was in the Navy, met my wife. We were stationed at Naval Hospital, Whidbey Island, for 3 years. I was in for a total of 5 years, and then my wife was in for an additional 7. So we crisscrossed around the country, had our first child. We have 3 kids. When my wife was honorably discharged, we were in the Seattle area, and we decided to take a chance, and we moved to Kodiak, Alaska. And in order for me to get that job, I had to have a certification. And if I didn't get that certification in time, I didn't start that job. So we drove from Seattle, Washington to Alaska with me knowing I had a test to take in Anchorage, and if I didn't get that job, or if I didn't get that certification done, that I wasn't going to get that job. Didn't tell my wife. So the whole time driving up the Alcan, I'm studying like crazy. We get up there. She thinks I'm taking a regular certification test to add some initials behind my name. So eventually got past the certification, worked in Kodiak, Alaska for 2.5 years, and was looking for something more to do. It was a very small community, so I joined Rotary. We didn't have the opportunities that you have here in Colorado Springs. A cleanup day was a big event. We had a lot of scholarships, working with the middle school and the high school to give them opportunities. The teen drinking rate was quite high. So I got involved with Rotary there. We realized that there weren't a lot of opportunities in Kodiak, Alaska. We had our second child while we were there, and we wanted to offer them the best chance of success. So we moved out of Alaska. Kodiak, Alaska is a population 5,000. If you add the Kodiak base, it ups it to 13,000 people. Really isolated. So we moved down to Arizona. I worked overseeing the Sonora Quest Labs. So we had 11 commercial sites across the state. So I work in laboratory medicine. Finished my bachelor's and master's after I got out of the Navy. So did that while working full-time and with kids. After 6 years of living in Arizona and being from Alaska, I got a little tired of the weather. So we compromised and we moved here 5 years ago. So I've got a 15-year-old, an 11-year-old daughter, and then a 10-year-old son. My wife also works for Centura Health. I oversee the laboratories at Penrose and St. Francis. So we've got a residency program. We've got multiple disciplines. We're the largest laboratory in the system. So we do cytogenetics, flow. We obviously train MDs and DOs to become pathologists. Pretty involved with hospital leadership, and over the last year and a half, obviously, it's been a struggle. But what brought me back to Rotary? In Arizona, with 3 young kids, I didn't feel like I had the time to put in, whether or not it's charity or even attending, weekly meetings. So I felt like I was doing the work in a different realm. I started a charity campaign with Sonora Quest Laboratories, and got the whole organization involved, and our support was for JDRF, and I think there was a picture of me with a check. So I did that for 6 years, started it up from scratch. We had everything from bake sales to book sales. We did a golf scramble. All of the money donated was from employees of the organization, and every single year we gave over $100,000 to JDRF. So regardless if it was within Rotary, I felt like I was still a part of something and doing something important. And that's been missing from my life for the last 5 years. So this was an opportunity for me to join a club, to be a part of something a little bit bigger than myself. And that is just about it. I do have an interesting fact here. So in boot camp, I enlisted with a gentleman from Alaska, and we were together for the 13 weeks, and then we were together for our school afterward, and he ended up writing a book. He became a Navy SEAL, and he wrote a book about it's called No Easy Day. So he is one of the 2 people who shot bin Laden, and I've been able to keep in contact with him over the years. I just think it's an interesting fact, hero of mine. He's the kind of person I want to be. So I just brought this, just in case. I'm not supposed to put up any electronic photos of him, but so that's me in a nutshell. I was going to bring my kids today, but I didn't make it back to Monument. We live in Monument, so I'll make sure that next week I've got my family with me as well, so you can meet them.
All right, I'm really excited because, well, first of all, Tim obviously is an amazing Rotarian, so we're really lucky we got him. But also, we have a few minutes, extra minutes for our speaker, and you guys are going to have tons of questions for her, so I think that's perfect. But last week, you might remember, our announcements went over a lot. So Rodney said, you'll get the timing down. So I crunched some numbers, and I don't do math for anybody. But I did for you guys. And anyway, I'm glad it worked out. So Martin Cook, our Rotarian here, is going to introduce our speaker today.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. I want to just briefly give you a little context for her. You may recall, if you have good memories, that about 18 months ago I gave a talk about the time that my wife and I spent volunteering, teaching at Ashesi University in Ghana, West Africa. That university is only 20 years old, and it's already rated the best university in Ghana. And the reason that it exists is the president, who's a Ghanaian fellow who was educated in the United States and worked for Microsoft, after his children were born, decided he would go back to Ghana and create a high-tech startup company. And he got there and looked around and said, I can't do that because there are no qualified people to hire. So instead of creating a startup, I'm going to have to create a university that educates the kind of people that I want to hire. And he's done that. So the motto of the university is Educating Ethical Entrepreneurial Leaders for Africa. And it's an amazing success. We came away, frankly, more impressed than we were when we volunteered to go. Our guest today, Heather Beem, teaches at that university. That's one of her hats. But the other hat, and the original hat that got her to Ghana, is different than that. She created an NGO, and she's been there 5 years now, called the Practical Education Network. And her organization is trying to address a problem even deeper than the universities. And that is that the students who arrive at the university have virtually no education in science when they get there. So how do you teach science and technology to people who have basically a horrible high school education, horrible primary school education? And so Heather's organization is dedicated to trying to figure out a way to teach science and technology in a resource, very poor environment like Ghana. And she's done just amazing work. I'm an enormous fan of what she's doing. And our club is now looking at the possibility of getting a global grant to support her work. So with great pleasure, I introduce my friend, Dr. Heather Beem.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you guys in person. I got to see many of you on Zoom a few months ago and meet your vibrant group here. So I'm happy to be here all the way from West Africa for just a few days here in Colorado Springs, and it's a beautiful town. I hope I get the chance to come back again. So as Martin said, my name is Heather Beem. I am American, as you can probably tell from my accents. However, I have followed a conviction and a call to move to West Africa, to a country called Ghana, which is an English-speaking country, and it's sort of the shining beacon in West Africa for progress. It's one of the most safe and stable countries in the region. I moved there 5 years ago to set up a nonprofit whose name is on the screen. The name is Practical Education Network. Our slogan is hands-on, minds up, because we believe that as students engage their hands, their minds open up to learning at a much deeper level. The mission of the organization is to enable every African child to learn by doing. Many of us here in the US may have been fortunate to have a teacher or two when we were going through school that got us doing activities and experiments and projects. In Africa, that is very, very, very rare. If you go into any normal classroom, even in the capital city where I live, which is Accra, you'll be hard-pressed to find a public school that has enough desks for the students, much less enough textbooks, and certainly much less enough lab equipment that you would like to teach science with. So this has an immense effect on the country's ability to develop. In Accra, and like I said, Accra, where I live, is the capital, you'll see roads that look like this. Road infrastructure is poor, electricity is unstable, even the water shuts off, unexpectedly. Network connectivity is also very poor. So there are serious foundational infrastructure challenges, even in the shining beacon of West Africa, which is Ghana. If a country like Ghana is ever going to really develop in a sustained way, they need engineers. They need scientists that can build this infrastructure for the nation. In order to create those scientists and engineers, the education system needs to equip them. And right now, it's not. Right now, as kids go to school, they sit there year after year after year, and they memorize whatever their teacher asks them to memorize. And the teachers feel constrained, rightly so, because they look around their classroom and they say, how else can I possibly teach science? All I have is a blackboard. So in the end, the education system is producing people who aren't, they have the innate potential, as all human beings do, but their education system is not building those technical skills and that problem-solving mindset that the country needs for a workforce to develop it. PEN is the NGO that I started, and we're tackling this challenge. We believe that this challenge is solvable, and it's best to be solved at the foundation. We work with teachers, we work with science and math teachers, and we equip them to make their classes as practical and hands-on as possible. We help teachers find innovative ways of repurposing everyday materials that they can realistically find in their homes, in their environments, and we help them to transform those seemingly mundane objects into very compelling and meaningful learning experiences for their students. These three on the previous screen are teachers who've come through the program, and they've all become trainers in hands-on science now. We have Selassie on the left, Raymond on the middle, and Andrews on the right, and all of them, if you can see from their faces, have this joy, this confidence that comes from feeling equipped to teach in the way that they know that science should be taught. I've been in Ghana for 5 years, full-time, pursuing this mission. And in that time, we've been able to make quite a bit of impact on the ground in Ghana, shifting the status quo for how the system as a whole works. And we've done that by equipping local trainers. We now have 100 Ghanaian science teachers who are trainers in hands-on science. And together with them, we have been able to reach more than 3,000 teachers across the country. And we've impacted more than 600,000 students, many of whom are for the very first time learning through a hands-on approach. I'm not sure if the video will play. It didn't show up. All right. Well, we'll shift forward to the next part, and if there's time, we'll come back and try again for the video. So, since I already told you guys a little bit about this work a few months ago, I thought that rather than just give you the same exact presentation, it could be fun for you guys to also try one or two of the science activities that we do with teachers and students in Ghana. How does that sound? Yeah? All right. So I will like to have 3 volunteers to start. Any brave people, you can raise your hand. Okay. Since I already told you guys a little bit about this work a few months ago, I thought that rather than just give you the same exact presentation, it could be fun for you guys to also try one or two of the science activities that we do with teachers and students in Ghana. How does that sound? Yeah? All right. So I will like to have 3 volunteers to start. Any brave people, you can raise your hands. Okay, awesome. All right, so our brave volunteers have gotten some seemingly mundane objects in their hands. Maybe you guys can stand up, if that's okay, so those around you can see you. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few brief instructions, and then everybody else just watch and see if you can figure out what's going on. Okay, so take out all the stuff from the bottle and put it on your table. Place the balloon in the top opening, like where you would put your mouth. So hang it inside so that the balloon is hanging, and just attach it around the lip there. Okay, I've got another one. Don't worry. Okay, so once you've got that, take the plastic bag and attach it on the bottom, the other opening, with the rubber band, but push it in a little bit into the bottle before you attach it. Kind of yeah, exactly, perfect. Can tell this is the education expert here. She's got it figured out. Yeah, perfect, and then attach the rubber band around it. And if any of you guys want to help out, feel free to support. Yeah, perfect. Just put it in a little bit and then attach the rubber band around it. Okay, so now flip it so the balloon's on top. All right, and then all of us are going to observe the balloon. And the people holding it will please pull the black bag in and out a few times. Okay. You got it. You got it. Can you guys see what's happening in the balloon? your time. It's fine. It's fine. So, who wants to give us an explanation for what this is showing? Any brave person to venture what it is? Okay.
Simulating a diaphragm with a lung.
Perfect. So this is a model of a very simplified model of the respiratory system. I think we have some medical professionals in the room, so let me not embarrass myself too much, but a simplified model of the respiratory system. So the black bag represents the diaphragm, and the balloon represents a lung. So you get to see very visually, and then ideally, everybody in the room would have one of these, and then you can also touch and feel and have your own experience of what it means when we talk about the diaphragm playing a role in air entering and exiting our lungs. And this is something that every single student in a classroom can afford to find. Okay, there's one more. Can we do one more? All right, 2 new volunteers. We can't make our same volunteers do it again. All right, one at the back. Anyone else? Tag team? Okay, this one we'll do at your table. Some of you guys might have an idea of what's about to happen. All right. Okay. Yes, exactly. All right, so you guys both have a bottle with a little bit of vinegar in it. And I want you to take, let me get another spoon. There's a spoon for you to fill your balloon with some baking soda. If you put more in, it'll be more exciting. That's true. Here's another spoon if that's helpful. So you're gonna fill the balloon with some amount of baking soda. And if any of you guys want to help out, it might be easier if someone holds the balloon. Yeah. So just try to fill the balloon itself with some of that baking soda. Yeah, put it into the balloon. I don't know if you guys can all see. It's all right, it's all right. So in Ghana, if a teacher was trying to teach about acids and bases, they would go to the blackboard and they'd be sweating because it's so hot. They'd be like, this, whatever, n plus this thing goes to this, and they'd be sweating and they'd be asking the students to chant back and forth. What did I write on the board? And they're like, this plus this. What did I write on the board? This plus this. And they'll just be sweating, and then at the end of the day, the students are confused. They have no idea what's going on, and then day after day, if this continues, students lose interest in science and STEM. And all of you guys have, or some of you guys have, a little handout on your table that shows some data that we collected on how this type of hands-on teaching and learning affects students in terms of their exam scores at the top of your handout, and then in terms of their interest, their attitudes towards science and STEM there on the second chart on your handout. What we saw is that if students do business as usual, they sit in class where the teacher's sweating at the blackboard, writing the equations and having the students chant, just by going through that, just by going through school, they lose interest in science and STEM. So if Africa's really going to solve its fundamental infrastructure challenges, we have to tackle it in the classroom, especially when it comes to science and math. And what you'll see in the data is that those students whose teachers were getting trained on how to do hands-on approaches, their interest actually went up, even just over one academic year with statistical significance. So we're trying to help teachers, instead of teach acids and bases by writing on the board, by getting them to do a simple experiment like what we are about to see here. Have you been able to fill it with some baking soda? Okay, fantastic. I like the teamwork here. All right. So once you guys are ready, just attach the balloon on the lid there. Perfect. And then flip the balloon up so that it, all the stuff goes inside. Let's see what happens. Is it attached well? Oh, that's a good idea. Have a natural educator. Awesome. Amazing, amazing. Well done. So, do we have any chemists in the room that want to tell us a little bit about what just happened? Okay, so basically we had an acid and base reaction just there, and one of the products of this reaction, which is a neutralization reaction, is production of a gas, in this case carbon dioxide. And so now, instead of trying to figure out what's going on by looking at these symbols and equations on the board that don't make any tangible sense, teachers can get their students to do a simple experiment like this, and they'll get to remember when they hear that term neutralization reaction, they'll have something to associate it with in their mind, and they'll carry it with them for years to come. So hopefully you enjoyed those two short demonstrations. The Ghanaian teachers we work with, every single time we get them in the room, they go crazy when they get the opportunity to do stuff like this because it's totally new, and they can see for themselves how impactful it's going to be in their students' learning and their interest in STEM. So those are the two brief demos I wanted to share with you. If this work is something that, oh, we have the equation written out for us. Amazing, amazing, awesome. Have carbon dioxide as a product over here. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I'm not a chemist, so I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right. Yeah. Okay, so if you're interested in joining us, there are two ways that we would love to work with you guys and partner with your club. We do have an immediate financial need to get our own office space. So the nonprofit that I started, we've actually been working from my living room for the last year. Yes, we have. And we've done a lot in that time with the resources that we have. And one exciting thing is that the team has actually grown considerably over the last year. Because of COVID, we had to shift all of our training online, which meant that we had to bring on a couple of new staff to make digital content translation possible. So that's been great, but along with our growth, we've outgrown my living room. We are 8 people now in my living room. So we're trying to raise some money to help us get our own office space. If that is something that you feel compelled to support with, you can go to the link. I don't know if maybe if you click one more time, it might show up on the screen. There's a link on the screen, I believe. No? It's also on the back of the handout. Yep, you're right. I put it on the back of the handout too. So that's a website you can go if you're willing to support. It will make a difference in our ability to produce digital content on hands-on science, which is enabling us to reach many, many more teachers and students than we would have otherwise been able to, relying on in-person training. And the second way, of course, is through the global grant that has been brought up a couple of times. Kwame, who's on the call, as was said, is ready to champion this on the Ghana side, and we would love to partner with your club and other clubs in the district to bring on a global grant and help us to get hands-on science and learning to many more students in Ghana and beyond. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I think I took the mic, so. George.
Thanks, Kate. Jody, I got it. Thank you. Yeah, Heather, I'm curious about Ashesi University and its arrival on the African continent as an upstart, if you will, and how perhaps that was received by the other established and more traditional universities that were perhaps on the British colonial model. It just strikes me that would be a source of some tension, especially since in 20 short years, the top university in Ghana is now Ashesi. What would you say about that?
That's an interesting question. Yes, so Ashesi University, where I also teach engineering, which has been mentioned, a very innovative and forward-thinking university. Interestingly, people really appreciate the university, even though it's quite different than the public institutions that have been there for a while. The previous president sent his son there. I think Martin said he had him in one of his classes. A lot of top folks in Ghana like sending their kids there. So I think that speaks to the fact that people know that innovation in education is needed, and it's making an impact. In fact, if you meet an alum of Ashesi University, they just carry themselves in a different way than most of the other graduates. So it's really interesting. They're clearly doing something different. Any other questions? Anything? Soft questions, hard questions, they're all welcome. Yes.
Is there a curriculum that you follow? I mean, these are great, these are really interesting experiments, and I'm just curious, do you use any kind of a curriculum? Well, I'm sure you do have a curriculum. How do you decide age appropriate and level for these different experiments? It's fascinating.
Yes. So in Ghana, there's a national curriculum, and everybody's hyper-focused on it. Even the private schools in Ghana follow the public national curriculum. So what we've done, our approach has been to say, we're trying to shift the status quo for what happens in school. So let's still use the national curriculum as the framework for what we're doing, but let's find ways of incorporating or infusing hands-on stuff into each of those topics. And let me come back down and pass around these documents. I brought some samples of our teacher resource manuals that will give you a sense of what it looks like. So we take the national curriculum, and for every single topic, we go one by one and see how best we can either curate or develop a hands-on activity using locally available resources to match that topic. And so we've done that for virtually all of the topics in the Ghanaian national curriculum for science from 1st grade through 12th grade. And we're on track to do the same for mathematics. Yes. Okay, so once we always work through the existing system. So if we're working with public schools, we go through the district office or the regional office, and then their district officers will coordinate the training, and they'll set a date and say, here's the date, here's the venue, please show up and participate in this professional development. So I wouldn't say that there is a very structured professional development offering at the moment. It's more ad hoc, so whenever there's an opportunity, schools will sign up. Yeah. Yes.
All right. So Heather, I know you said 600,000 kids have been impacted, right? So really, you're almost the feeder to Ashesi or any other higher education. And as I listen to the story, it's the first graders. It's going to take 12 years or however long their primary education is before you truly know the result of all the hard work that you're doing. So how are you measuring this? How do you hold yourself accountable? Who's holding you guys accountable? And what's success look like for you?
Thanks, Holly. So on the handout, there are two key things that we've measured at the student level. One is their learning outcomes based on their standardized test that they have to take right after junior high school. The second is their attitudes towards science and STEM. Are they interested in talking about it outside of school? Do they see themselves pursuing a career in it? And then the third one is critical thinking. So those are the three things that we're trying to capture at the student level. At the teacher level, where we do regular monitoring and evaluation, we'll randomly choose some teachers who came through the program and go visit their school, or at least give them a call and see, mainly just check implementation. You know, how frequently are you doing hands-on activities in your class? So those are the kinds of things that we are measuring. We have a full-time staff for monitoring and evaluation, so she's in charge of the regular follow-up. And then for the student level research studies, we do those as and when we can work with any researcher, you know, that wants to help us measure in a more controlled way what exactly is happening at the student level. So part of it is matched with the Ghana government's goal of getting 60% of students in university studying STEM majors. At the moment, it's flipped, or even a little bit more than that, humanities majors when students go to university. And the government wants 60% of university majors to be STEM. So as we check students' attitudes towards science, we'll see if they're on track to feeding into that goal.
Dave Finkelman, PhD, MIT Course 16. Rodney's the best IT guy I've ever seen. Love that guy. How have your education and degrees helped you in this endeavor?
Course 16 is Aeroastro, I think. I stand to be corrected. Okay. Yes, so I did get a PhD from MIT, and my parents frequently look at me and say, "What are you doing?" Because this is not what most people would do with the experience that I gained. But absolutely, my time in graduate school has very much influenced and equipped me for the work that I'm doing in a few ways. One is that while I was at MIT, I realized that I was immersed in this environment that really celebrated hands-on learning. And so I got my own experience of what it is like to be with peers who get to benefit from it being in that sort of environment. And that really inspired me to try and create the same experience for students in other parts of the world. Secondly, doing a PhD taught me a lot of resilience, overcoming a lot of frustration when experiments and everything don't work. And so having gone through that, I've been able to work through the challenges, the bureaucracy, and the various things that come with trying to affect systemic change on the ground. So although my path is not a traditional one, I've very much gained experience from my time as a grad student.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So I'm wondering what motivated you to take this path as opposed to trying to dive into teacher prep programs in Ghana. Like, why are teachers taught to teach the way that they are teaching? Anyway, so what motivated you to do this way as opposed to going through a more traditional teacher prep kind of path?
Yeah, that's a great insight. So the reason we've started from the in-service angle is due to the stakeholders that I was able to connect with on the ground at first. Ghana Association of Science Teachers was a key stakeholder for us in getting started, and they do a lot of in-service training. So they encouraged us to plug into their existing framework for doing that. But you're absolutely right. If we can affect the pipeline of teachers going into the system, it's going to make a big difference. And so that's something we're looking to do in the years to come.
Have a thank you glass for you. And then I also have a certificate for you to thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to let everyone know that Martin and Heather are going to be going over to Sportivos after this. And so if you want to go over there and talk some more with her, she came to Rotary Rally with us on Tuesday night. So it was really nice to get some very small group time with her and everything. So I would encourage you to if you can. But I want to recognize Martin. Martin actually brought her here from Oklahoma when she came home to see her family. He brought her here himself, and he arranged for her housing while she was here. Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Oh, and he also had a very full calendar for her once she got here, so she could get in front of all the right people and also just get to learn more about the community here. So thank you so much, Martin. I bet you're going to sleep a lot this weekend. And then I just want to thank everyone for being here, President May and our ladies from the East Club and any guests that we have here. Thank you guys so much for coming. We would welcome you back at any time. So have a great week.
As of January 2021, unemployment for women of color was much higher than the overall unemployment rate, ranging from 7.9% to 11.3% for women of color and people with disabilities.
Ethically diverse companies are 35% more likely to outperform their competitors. We need ethnic and gender diversity for our economy to fully recover.
Your local chambers are committed to creating an inclusive business climate.
This message is paid for by the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs.